Hello, everyone. So this is a reaction video to Robert Greene, Jordan Peterson, How to Integrate Your Shadow Self. This is absolutely critical if you want to be married, effectively communicate with people, run a business, manage conflict, sit with yourself at peace in the woods. Like, just be with yourself. You have to get in touch with your shadow self. Nice guy syndrome, shadow problems. So many things like sexual addictions, often just addictions because there is just the phospholipase B pathway and stuff like that. But like often shadow problems too. Like if you're not communicating with people about desires, not being honest with yourself about desires, let us see.
So I have a friend, he's a really good friend of mine, and I've known him since I was in college, and he's a tough guy. I mean, he grew up in under rather poverty-stricken circumstances in northern Alberta, really on a frontier piece of land. Like it had only been broken 50 years before by his father, who was a longshoreman and an ex-military guy. Good guy, his father. But this guy grew up and he is tough. He worked in lead smelters and he wandered around Western Canada. And he was my roommate when I went to college and is still a good friend of mine. And he ended up working with like delinquents. He went into social work, oddly enough, and he ended up working with some of the worst delinquents in Canada. And he's a really good guy and he likes to help people get better. But he isn't naive at all.
Jordan Peterson's so authentic and it comes through so well in videos. I really admire it because it's hard it's an art to really like have your authentic self shine through. But I guess he's talking to Robert Greene though, so it's coming out in that conversation. Yeah, no, because his his videos are just him talking are very like, God bless Jordan Peterson. I love that man. He is responsible for my Christian conversion, so salute you, sir.
And then part of the reason that he was good at working with the delinquents was because there were no tricks they could get up to that he couldn't see right through. And that was partly because he had a real integrated shadow. I mean, I'll give you an example.
That's very, yeah. Know thyself. And then people can't mess with you because you know what they can do because it's what you can do. It's the same as like wrestling. Like, if you want to keep a wrestling match clean, you don't have strictly enforced rules per se. You just know how to wrestle dirty. So if someone hits you or punches you, you punch them back as hard or harder immediately. My thing was, if you punched me, I wouldn't punch you. I'd choke you unconscious. I have a really highly developed front headlock choke. So I grab you here, grab the chin, quickly expose the chin, quickly hand under the chin, grab here, wrap, head right in here, arm right in here, pressure in. I put you right out, and then I just pin you. So it keeps it clean, though, because people know, like, if you start swinging, I'm going to start swinging or choking. I was just joking unconscious. It's a little. Nah, don't punch me. I'm not going to get into a boxing match. Yeah, no, for real. Like, if you try to punch me in a grappling match, I'm not going to get into a boxing match with you. I'm just going to kill you. That's a joke for all the censors out there. I'm going to half kill you. Choke you unconscious.
So one day, I was living in this town called Grand Prairie, and it was at the height of...
Actually, I don't know. I might kill you. If you attempt murder on me, it's your life, buddy.
The oil boom. And so it was a rough town, and there were lots of rough bars in it, and lots of young men in there with plenty of money and they come in for 3 days after being out in minus 40 weather working on the oil rigs, and they were ready to party, man. And we had a party one night in this kind of frat house that I went to college in, and way too many people showed up, and some of them were real troublemakers. And we had a table that was pretty full of beer bottles and vodka bottles and so forth, and one guy just went over and tore the leg off and knocked the table over, and then a bunch of us got together and chased them all out. And this friend of mine, he said, "Oh, they'll be back." And so he went upstairs and he put on some steel-toed cowboy boots. It was just like a bloody western. He came marching down the stairs. And just as he entered the living room, there was a big knock on the front door. It was these hooligans coming back to cause grief. And he just didn't break stride. He opened the door. He pulled open the door, and there was a guy standing there ready to fight, and he kicked him underneath the chin with his steel-toed cowboy boot, knocked him right over the front porch, and the battle was on. But that was exactly what he was like, I mean, and he had his shadow was integrated.
Oh. That's how you gotta be. It's not a matter of your upbringing. It's a matter of the will to act. Training is nothing without the will to act. It's all Ra's al Ghul. Like, literally, the beginning of my journey to become a man. I mean, it's a lot of it's my father. He's a great man. He introduced me to Batman. But Batman, Ra's al Ghul, watching Batman Begins. Training is nothing without the will to act. Training is nothing. Will to act is everything. Will to act. Integrate your shadow. He's so right. Like, literally, like, if you don't have your shadow integrated, all the training in the world is useless. But if you don't have any training, ow.
He's a great roommate.
Yeah.
He reciprocated everything. I always knew if I bought groceries one week, he'd buy it the next. Like, he was a straight shooter. You could trust him. But he was not naive, man. And that made him able to deal with delinquents and to help them. So that's part of that integration of that shadow.
Yeah, I go very deeply into the shadow in a chapter in my last book, The Laws of Human Nature. And I try and talk about how...
One time I threw a party in college, and my girlfriend at the time's friends, like, just snuck into my room, found my secret stash of weed that was, like, in my desk, like, hidden away. It's like 7 grams of, like, the best hydroponic stuff from California that I got. I can't get the stuff off, but I got the stuff. And it's in my desk. Allegedly. Hydroponic CBD weed. But basically, she just smoked all of it, or took all of it. And I was just like, yeah, people just steal. I was kind of naive. Less so now.
one integrates the shadow, because it's not an easy answer for that. You know, people are kind of perplexed. Well, I have this dark side, and I explain a lot of where it comes from and how a lot of your aggressive impulses, like the room of 2-year-olds that you were talking about, you have that as well. I'm talking to the people that are my readers. You have that aggressiveness when you were young, and it got socialized out of you, and then it kind of got repressed, and it's like a lost self that lives inside of you and is screaming to come out. How do you integrate it? And so the main thing is you have to be aware that you have this shadow side. You can't run away from it. You have to acknowledge that it exists. You almost have to embrace it in a way.
A good parent too does everything he or she can not to repress that. Like, what you want to do with children is you want them to be forceful. You want them to have some power.
Exactly.
You want them to integrate that capacity for aggression.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I have to run. My wife needs me. Children are up and everything, and just gotta run out. But in some sense, this is actually a perfect part 2. It makes the video size more manageable. And besides, doing part 1 and part 2 for videos will probably make it so I can get more viewership, boost the channel. Just always the thing I'm looking for. Just like, not obsessed with it, simply because I know in the long term that by dominating the search algorithms, I'm going to dominate my niche and my whole plan will unfold. But ultimately, splitting videos into 1 and 2 parts can make them easier for you guys to watch and give you a reason to come back in tomorrow. So let's do that. This video is stopped at 3 minutes and 41 seconds. So let's tune back in. See you next time.